Hello and welcome to Courts Today by Live Law. Let us get to today's top legal headlines. The Supreme Court has demoted a deputy collector who demolished slum dwellers' huts, defying the High Court order, and has also imposed a 1 lakh rupees fine. The Supreme Court has set aside Delhi High Court order to remove Wikipedia page about ANI's case. The top court today considered a plea to replace 5-year-old law degree course with 4-year LLB. The top court has issued contempt notice to chief secretaries of Delhi, UP, Haryana and Rajasthan over non-filling of the Pollution Control Board vacancies. The Supreme Court has dismissed plea to implement national education policy in Tamil Nadu, saying that court cannot compel any state to adopt NEP. And Justice Nagaratna has flagged apprehension that population-based delimitation may reduce the southern states' representation. I am Urvashi Chauhan, bringing you the important legal updates of the day, quick, crisp and to the point. Watch till the end, and if you find this update valuable, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel because your support keeps us going. In a rare and stern punishment, the Supreme Court has ordered demotion of an Andhra Pradesh deputy collector to the post of Tehsildar for disobeying the directions of the High Court and forcibly demolishing slum dwellers' huts in Guntur district over a decade ago. The background of this case is important. In 2013, slum dwellers in Guntur district approached the High Court against threats of eviction. The court had passed protective orders asking the revenue authorities not to disturb the possession of slum dwellers while their application for house site pattas were being considered. Despite this, the officer here, who was then serving as a Tehsildar, went ahead and demolished their homes, bringing a fleet of nearly 90 police personnel. The High Court later found this to be willful violation and sentenced him to 2 months simple imprisonment. The officer appealed to the Supreme Court, but his argument that the people removed were recent encroachers and not the original petitioners failed to convince the court. The top court, in its judgment delivered by a bench of Justices B.R. Gawai and A.G. Masih, has upheld his conviction for contempt of court. However, instead of confirming the 2-month jail sentence imposed by the High Court, the Apex Court took a more balanced approach. The court noted that while the officer did not deserve any leniency due to his adamant and callous attitude, his family's livelihood should not be jeopardized because of his actions. Justice Gawai observed that if the officer were jailed, he would be dismissed from service, severely impacting his wife and the school-going children. Therefore, the court opted to demote him 1 rank down, that is to the post of Tehsildar, and also imposed a fine of 1 lakh to be paid within 4 weeks. Initially, the officer had refused to accept the demotion proposal, insisting that he had done nothing wrong. But the court, displeased with his arrogance, warned that if he did not relent, it would not just uphold his jail term, but also make sure he was not reinstated. Only after this did the petitioner accept the punishment of demotion. The court further underlined the gravity of the contempt, stating that disobedience of court orders, especially by senior public officers, strikes at the very foundation of the rule of law on which the democracy stands. In a significant ruling, the top court has set aside a Delhi High Court order that had directed removal of a Wikipedia page related to defamation proceedings initiated by news agency Asian News International, that is ANI, against the Wikimedia Foundation. The High Court had earlier held that the page titled Asian News International versus Wikimedia Foundation was prima facie contemptuous and interfered with court proceedings. A bench comprising Justices Abhay S. Oak and Ujjwal Bhuya of the Supreme Court overturned this order, stressing that courts are public institutions and that media reporting on judicial proceedings should not be restricted. The court reiterated that in a democratic society, public debate and constructive criticism of the judiciary are not only permissible but necessary. Drawing from key precedents such as Sahara India Real Estate Corporation versus SEBI and the 9-judge bench ruling in Naresh Mirajkar versus State of Maharashtra, the court emphasized that any restriction on reporting judicial proceedings must meet the twin tests of necessity and proportionality. The controversy arose from a defamation suit filed by ANI against Wikimedia, alleging that its article on ANI contained content that was defamatory and undermined its credibility. ANI sought 2 crores in damages and the removal of the allegedly defamatory content. Although Wikimedia clarified that the content was user-generated and referred public media reports, the Delhi High Court directed Wikipedia to delete the disputed page. The High Court had also taken exception to a user comment on the page which mentioned that a judge had threatened to shut down Wikipedia in India, a statement reportedly sourced from an Indian Express article. Let me tell you, in November last year, ANI's contempt plea was closed after Wikimedia temporarily removed the page. However, in the main defamation case, interim relief was granted to ANI, and Wikimedia was ordered to delete further disputed content from the ANI Wikipedia page. The High Court Division Bench partly stayed these directions but maintained the order barring the publication of allegedly defamatory content. Before the Supreme Court, Wikimedia contended that the content merely echoed existing public reports and that directing its deletion infringed upon open debate and transparency. Well, the Apex Court agreed with this, holding that directing removal of all false, misleading, and defamatory content was too broadly framed and practically unenforceable. The judgment underscored that courts should not act as censors of public discourse and instead should welcome scrutiny and critique, provided it does not cross the line into contempt. Moving ahead, the top court today took up a public interest litigation seeking replacement of the existing 5-year integrated LLB course with a 4-year course, citing the National Education Policy 2020, which promotes 4-year undergraduate programs for professional degrees. The PIL was filed by Advocate Ashwini Kumar Upadhyay, who argued that the current 5-year structure is designed to extract money and unnecessarily burdens students, particularly from middle and lower income families. The bench, comprising Justices Vikram Nath and Sandeep Mehta, did not issue notice in the matter but agreed to tag it with a pending case concerning validity of a 1-year LLM course, which is being heard by a bench led by Justice Suryakant. Appearing for the petitioner, Senior Advocate Vikas Singh supported the plea, stating that the prolonged duration of the LLB course causes financial difficulties for many families. He shared an anecdote about his yoga teacher struggling to pay his daughter's 5-year law education. However, Justice Nath suggested that such concerns may be better addressed by the Bar Council of India, which regulates legal education. The petition also sought formation of a legal education commission or expert committee comprising of eminent jurists, retired judges, and academicians to review the syllabus, curriculum, and duration of LLB and LLM courses in line with the NEP 2020 to attract better talent into legal profession. Let me also tell you, this is not the first time Upadhyay has challenged the 5-year LLB course. In April last year, he had filed a similar petition seeking to replace the 5-year course with a 3-year one directly after class 12th. That plea was rejected by a bench led by the then Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, who had remarked that the 5-year program has been beneficial in ensuring mature entrance into the legal profession. In the present matter, the petitioner argues that the 5-year course imposes an unjustified financial burden and delays the students' ability to support their families. The petition contends that the BCI has failed to align legal education with the broader educational reforms introduced through NEP 2020. In a major development concerning environmental governance in the National Capital Region, the Supreme Court has issued contempt notices to the Chief Secretaries of Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, and Rajasthan for their failure to comply with an earlier court order directing them to fill all vacancies in their respective pollution control boards and committees by 30th April 2025. A bench comprising Justices Abhay Asok and Ujjal Bhuyan noted that the states had committed a willful breach of the court's August 27, 2024 order, which had set a clear deadline for completing the staffing process in these key regulatory bodies. In its strong worded order, the court demanded Chief Secretaries to show cause why contempt proceedings under the Contempt of Courts Act should not be initiated against them. The Chief Secretary of Delhi has been directed to appear physically before the court on 19th May, expressing deep concern over the very sorry state of affairs. The court noted that the Delhi Pollution Control Committee is virtually defunct, with 55% of sanctioned posts lying vacant. Haryana, Rajasthan, and Uttar Pradesh are also significantly short-staffed, with 35%, 45%, and 45% vacancies respectively. The court reminded the states that PCBs are statutory authorities entrusted with implementing environmental laws like the Environment Protection Act, the Air Act, and the Water Act. The failure to staff them adequately, especially in a region plagued by severe air pollution like the NCR, was deemed unacceptable. The bench dismissed Haryana's contention that lack of eligible candidates for promotion hindered appointments, stating that states may amend recruitment rules and hire from across India to ensure full staffing. The court was also informed that 21% of posts in the Central Pollution Control Board remain vacant. It has directed the union government to fill all vacancies in the CPCB and the Commission for Air Quality Management by 31st August this year and to submit affidavits confirming compliance. Recognizing the need for modern equipment and technology, the court directed CAQM to conduct a comprehensive study into the functioning of PCBs and pollution control committees, especially regarding outdated infrastructure. The Commission for Air Quality Management is to submit its recommendations to the Central Pollution Control Boards and state bodies by July 2025, and the respective boards are to act on these by acquiring updated tools and equipment. The bench further extended the scope of its order by directing all state pollution control boards and pollution control committees in union territories to ensure that 100% staffing is achieved by September 2025. In another update, the top court today dismissed a PIL filed by a lawyer seeking directions to the state of Tamil Nadu to implement the National Education Policy 2020, including its three-language formula. A bench comprising Justices J.B. Pardiwala and R. Madhavan observed that the court, while empowered under Article 32 of the Constitution to protect fundamental rights, cannot issue directions to compel a state to adopt the national education policy. The bench stated that such matters fall within the domain of policy and governance, and the judiciary cannot enforce them unless there is a violation of fundamental rights. The petitioner G.S. Mani claimed that he had suffered due to Tamil Nadu's non-adoption of the education policy, particularly its refusal to implement the three-language policy that includes Hindi. However, the court questioned the petitioner's locus, pointing out that he is currently residing in New Delhi and had no direct or personal connection with the implementation of the NEP in Tamil Nadu. During the hearing, the bench asked the petitioner how he was affected by the policy, to which he responded that lack of Hindi education in Tamil Nadu made it difficult for him to learn the language. In response, Justice Pardiwala remarked that he could now learn Hindi in Delhi, further underlining the disconnect between the petitioner's claims and the present situation. The court clarified that while it does not propose to examine the merits of the national education policy in the present writ petition, the broader issue of policy adoption and its implications on rights may be addressed in an appropriate proceeding by a suitably affected party. For your information, let me tell you, the National Education Policy 2020 introduced by the central government recommends a three-language formula in schools, with one of the language being Hindi. The policy has been opposed by several southern states, particularly Tamil Nadu, which maintains a two-language policy, that is for Tamil and English. Tamil Nadu government has publicly rejected implementation of NEP in the state, terming it an attempt to impose Hindi on it. Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has reiterated on multiple occasions that the NEP will not be implemented in Tamil Nadu, arguing that education is a state subject and the policy infringes on its federal structure. And lastly, Justice B.V. Nagratna has today voiced concerns during a courtroom exchange about implication of delimitation based on population figures. Observing demographic shifts in the country, Justice Nagratna noted that while population growth is declining in the southern states, northern states continue to experience high birth rates. She remarked that such trends have triggered apprehensions that population-based delimitation could reduce parliamentary representation for the southern states. The observation came during the hearing of a batch of petitions related to Surrogacy Regulation Act before a bench comprising Justice Nagratna and Justice Satish Chandra Sharma. The specific petitions being heard were filed by couples seeking permission for a second child through gestational surrogacy. Under Rule 4, Subsection 3, Clause C, Part 2 of the Surrogacy Regulations Rules 2022, a couple is disqualified from opting for surrogacy if they already have one healthy biological child. The petitioners argued that despite having one child, they fall within the exceptions under Rule 14, citing medical grounds and repeated failed IVF attempts. These comments, though made in the context of surrogacy case, reflect broader demographic and political concerns that have been increasingly voiced about India's federal balance and regional representation. Let me tell you, the bench questioned the rationale behind the petitioner's desire for a second child through surrogacy. Justice Nagratna asked why the couples, both of whom already have healthy daughters, were seeking another child. Advocate Priya, representing them, explained that the intention was simply to extend the family and it was a matter of personal choice. Well, during the proceeding, the court also inquired whether one of the couples had undergone sex-selective abortion. The advocate firmly denied the allegation, clarifying that the pregnancy was terminated only after a doctor's recommendation, that too due to life-threatening medical condition. She added that the couple has been trying for a second child for 8 years. When the advocate drew a parallel with China's declining birth rates and the shift to a two-child policy, Justice Nagaratna responded that the situation in India was different as there are so many people in the north who are going on and on having children. The court did not issue notice in the present case but ordered it to be tagged with another petition which also challenges the same provision of the surrogacy rules and disallows a second child through surrogacy if the first is healthy.